The issues that we had really with this green, our first green, sort of stemmed sort of 2 years after it had been relaid. It was laid with a bent fescue mix, and we started to see that the grass was becoming very weak and very poor in coverage. A lot of algae formation. The green was constructed very close to the boundary tree line, but that once the green started to sort of go back on us a little bit, we really couldn't find out how to stop that from happening. Initially we started looking at different things that might be causing this, to do with nutrition levels, even sort of nematode population and activity, and one by one we decided that although it was probably a combination of a lot of factors that were causing the problem, we needed a proper sort of forward plan to see how we could get this green back to where we wanted it to be. And on the advice of our agronomist Charles Henderson, it was suggested that we should sort of look to employ a lighting rig to try and promote some grass and get some root development going at a time when that wouldn't normally happen, i.e. during the winter months. I never thought for one moment that I would be using something like a lighting rig on my greens. But this is modern day greenkeeping, and we have to look at everything that we can to try and make things better for the membership and our guests who come and play at Highgate. I'm not really a scientist by profession or by qualification, but having worked in greenkeeping for 42 years, I have a very active sort of interest in trying to get things right and getting the grass to grow properly. So having got involved with a trial that we've just had on this green has been a real sort of good eye-opener for me to work out what was going on with the green, how we can get over the problems we had. So my role as sort of scientist was very much the sort of data collection and being on site on a daily basis to sort of make sure that everything went the way we wanted it to go. We did have quite a few comments from the golfers when the lighting rigs were first deployed on the green. The first sort of few batches of golfers coming out were sort of wondering what was going on. We are very close to both Wembley Stadium and the Emirates Stadium, and we know that they use sort of similar lighting rigs at both of these venues. To be honest about it, any time that I was on the green, if a member come by and stopped and had a chat, they were actually very interested in what we were trying to achieve. And once we could show them the benefits of what we were doing with the actual grass coming in, some of the seed that we put down in November started to germinate, I think overall the membership actually became very, very interested in what we were doing. We noticed change within the turf probably within about 2 weeks of deploying the rig. Initially it was very difficult to sort of see any sort of major difference in the grass, but we did overseed the green with some bent fescue in November, and one of the first things that we noticed was that this seed that we sown was actually starting to germinate and started to grow. We took some photos of this because it was quite an incredible sight to see that just after 2 weeks that there was this establishment going on. The other thing that we do, the green, because of the shade issues that we have with it, we suffer quite a lot with algae formation. And one of the other things that we noticed immediately within even a couple of days of employing the rigs, was in fact the algae was actually drying out and was becoming less of a problem. The other noticeable thing was in fact the dew coverage. There was virtually no dew on this green, again around the footprint of the light. And that was obviously from day one, and that was a bonus because the drier we could keep the green, it was going to help with the other problems we was having to do with the algae, etc. Just when we first started the trial, we were sort of thinking that, it's sort of February time and March will be just around the corner. And little did we know that the famous beasts from the east arrived and hit us right in the middle of the trial. And it was really interesting because the first phase of the bad weather brought with it really some hard ground frost, and we could see immediately the actual rig was able to keep the frost clear on its own footprint, whereas around the perimeter of the green was actually frozen solid. At the end of the trial, we had to sort of sit down and say to ourselves, what did we benefit from using this lighting rig? And we had a lot of people involved in this trial, not just myself and obviously the course committee to allow us to do it, but we had people with us from Bernard's and also from the STRI, and our own agronomist Charles Henderson involved. And collectively we formed the opinion that, wow, there has definitely been a significant improvement in the grass coverage and the health of this green. Throughout the trial, not only did we take regular photographs of the grass coverage on the surface, but also of the root development below, and we've seen a significant increase in the root population and the root depths. The green is now in a much healthier state than what it was when we first started the trial, and therefore we are very grateful to everybody that's helped us on the way. I would strongly recommend that anybody in a similar situation who's having a problem with any of their greens, with shading issues and poor grass cover and algae formation, to give it a go. I mean, people like Bernard's are always going to be now willing to help out, and they were always at the end of the telephone or the end of an email, as was Renato, who visited sites several times throughout the trial to help me collect data and to sort of try and evaluate how well we were doing with the experiment. So to be honest about the experience I've had in dealing with Bernard's, who I've known for many years, obviously on the grinding situation, to do the lighting rig has been fantastic, and fair play to them, and thanks very much.